Good morning. It's Tuesday again. We are with the Sun and Moon Yoga Studio in Northern Virginia. And my name's Christine Clardy. Today is our Tuesday morning practice, and it's June 15th, 2021. We have about one more minute before we get going today. And as I always like to do in this little moment, quick apologies for the eye dart. We have lots of things to be looking at. We're all learning relearning maybe, how to look into people's eyes and talk to them. So, good morning. Hope y'all are having a great day so far. We'll wait about one more minute before we get started. And this, decided I'm not going to talk about it. But in about one more minute, I'll talk about it, I think. If you are tuned in and want to pop a little something in the chat box, feel free. You can say hi, good morning. You don't have to. It is nice. It lets me know that I am live. I am live, right? This is happening. It's so strange. Sorry. For our practice today, we will start reclined. And, oh, you know what? I think is there a thing that tells me how many people are here with numbers? I don't know. You have your privacy. If you don't want to acknowledge or put anything in the box, you don't have to. So today we're calling it, hi Melissa, good morning. Yeah. So I'm calling it TLC this morning because I have an ongoing wrist delicacy, delicate wrist issue. And rather than tell the story about it or talk about anatomically what I think might be happening, I am just calling for TLC. So our practice this morning will have us starting reclined. If you have a strap or a tie or a bathrobe belt or something like that, you can have that nearby. I think we'll use that. And I have this rolled towel. See it over here. It's a little short. So if you have a yoga blanket and want to just roll it and it's quite long, that would be okay too. It's going to go behind our shoulders. That's how we will begin this morning. We will be working from the floor, which I do think provides a little TLC. So I have been tinkering with doing a sun salutation completely reclined. I think I might show that to you, but fair warning, I don't always do it. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. I like having it for days when I don't want to put anything on my wrist. Sometimes I forget the steps, but it's all good. We're here. We made it. It's Tuesday and we're together. Let's get started. You know what? It might not be Tuesday for you. You could be doing this on any day. Whatever day it is, welcome. Let's get started. So, as promised, let's begin reclined. And if you do have something like a rolled towel or a rolled yoga blanket, put it horizontally across the mat. And you don't have to do this. If this looks unappealing to you, you don't have to do it. But we're starting by putting that bolster right at the tip of the shoulder blade, and then with knees bent and feet on the floor, pushing ourselves back so that maybe the tops of the shoulders or the tops of the arms come onto the mat, and ideally it should feel nice somewhere. My bolster, as I mentioned, is kind of short and fat, so it's actually a little too tall for me, but I'm just going to kind of rock with it right now. If you have a nice long one, let the long piece stick out underneath your armpit. And then that way your arms can come out to cactus or to a T position or even a Y position, whatever it is that works for you. So this is how we are arriving this morning. Immediately skipping the stories, skipping the analysis, just looking for a shape and falling into it. So look for comfort. I will add that. And I think I'll also add, look for the breath. Breathe in. Breathe out. Places that begin to feel the power and the grace of gravity will become apparent to you perhaps pretty quickly. I encourage you to explore that feeling, and if it's something that, as you play that edge, becomes discomfort, you could remove this bolster entirely or change the place of where it is in your mid or upper back. You might also experiment with straightening the legs, feet still about hip distance apart if you'd like, and notice how uncurling the legs actually changes the orientation of your shoulder girdle. We'll take 3 or 4 intentional, mindful breaths here. In through the nose, if that's available to you, and out, gently parted lips. The great Zen teacher Thich Nhat Hanh says that mindful breathing is like rocking a baby. And that analogy might be helpful here, especially if we are calling it TLC. As we just breathe in and hold ourselves gently, letting the breath be, letting it rest, letting it rise, letting it rest again. You might stay here for as long as you like, but when you are ready to move, bend your knees and press into the feet or roll to the side if you need to remove whatever prop you have under your body and return to the flat mat. Pause here and experience any differences, any observations that immediately come to your mind, to your body. And then we will straighten the legs again. Let's have arms come down by the sides. We'll be taking a flow here. I actually learned this from, yes, Annie Moyer. I call it book legs. I don't know what you call it, Annie. But we will start with inhaling, arms up overhead, and then exhaling to pull the left knee into the chest and give it a hug with both hands. When the next inhale comes, let that leg fall out to the left, like opening the page of a book. The right arm goes straight out to the side to balance you. Exhale, lift the left leg, pass it over into the right hand, and pull yourself into a gentle twist. Again, the opposite arm reaches out to the side for balance and opening. This is like closing the cover of the book with the exhale. Inhale back to center. Both arms are in a T position. We have the foot flex, the knee and ankle flex. Exhale to stomp the ceiling. Inhale, lift the arms up overhead and lower the leg. We are back where we started. Exhale the right knee into the chest. You can lift your head, neck, and shoulders if you want. Inhale, open the book out to the right into the right hand. Exhale as you twist and cross and close the cover of the book, opposite arm, opposite direction. Gentle twist, make it your very own. Inhale, center, arms in a T, knee bent. Exhale, stomp the ceiling. Feel the muscles of the thigh perk up. And then inhale, reaching the arms back up overhead as you slowly lower that leg. When the heel grazes the ground, the next leg rises with the exhale. So now we're back to left knee in, and we'll go through this actually 2 more times. So you have lots of opportunity to get into the flow of it and let it become a moving meditation. Once our bodies understand, then we can start to rest into it a little bit. The key for me is pausing here with arms at a T and the knee bent. Exhale, stomp the ceiling, lift the arms. And then inhale, float everything down. Exhale, now the right knee comes into the chest. Inhale, open the book. Exhale, cross and close the book. Inhale, pause with a T. Exhale, stomp the ceiling, lift the arms. Inhale, float it all down. And we'll go one more time. Exhaling to pull in. Inhale, open. Exhale, cross and close. Inhale, pause with the letter T, and then exhale, stomp and lift the arms. Inhale, float it all down. Exhale, pull the right knee in. Inhale, open. Exhale, cross. Inhale, pause, bent knee. Exhale, stomp the ceiling, arms lift. Inhale, float everything down. Let that heel gently touch and then relax, release, let everything go. You might feel your toes flop out to the sides. Let the jaw release. And then we'll bend both knees. Have the feet nice and wide on the mat. Press into the feet to lift the hips and send the hips to the right just a bit so that you can pull your knees in and fall all the way over to the side. So we're just on our sides here. Reaching the top arm out. For me, this is the left arm. We're going to make a little scroll around the clock here. So tap the fingers up above the head. Unwind yourself into mostly an upper body twist. So the right arm is reaching out to the right. Legs kind of pulled into the chest. And ideally, this has the effect of protecting the hips a little bit and making this opener more perhaps in the upper quadrant, maybe the upper right quadrant of your body. Take a few breaths here. Waiting for that grace of gravity. Sometimes there's suddenly, but not suddenly, this little release where you find a place that was holding and you didn't know. So to come out of this, lead with the top leg. Let that top leg lift up to the ceiling. Roll the hips back on. You'll be way off center, which is fine. Press into the feet and reset the pelvis in the center of the mat. You might lift and lower the pelvis a couple times. Press into the feet. Now send the hips over to the left just a bit. pull the knees in and fall over to the right. And now it's this arm on top that walks around, providing this sensation of opening into the front quadrant, under the armpit, under the ribs. Your arm could be bent or straight, high or low. And you'll notice my gaze is going in the same direction as this reaching arm. If that's not comfortable for you, you can certainly have the gaze up to the ceiling. Those bones of the cervical spine tend to be really different on different days. So stay alert. Tender, loving care does involve staying alert. And I wonder if we can be alert without being hyper vigilant. Can we stay aware and awake and alert with a stance of tender, loving care? Waiting for a release, perhaps, if and when it comes, when it's ready. It does help to take the gaze back up to the ceiling if you've been rotated heavily through the neck. Lead with this upper leg, bring it up, reorganize the hips here, and then put both knees into the chest, one knee in each hand, and give yourself a weeble wobble to the left and the right. And then go ahead and roll all the way over onto your side. We'll be coming over onto our bellies now. Moving into Sphinx pose. And the way that I like to do that is actually start with a superhero shape. So with your forehead relaxed on the mat and your arms reaching wide, you might even use your fingertips. Spread the pads of the fingers wide to feel your arms pull yourself forward. Also send the legs far away from you and ground the big toenails so that you feel like maybe the shoelace side of your foot is not going to move. So we start with that. Feel the tailbone reaching toward the heels, therefore. And then we can start to lift the head, bend the elbows, and move the elbows back toward the shoulders. How close they come is completely up to you. I would suggest still maintain shoulder width with the forearms and try to have the forearms parallel rather than in like a triangle or out way past the edges of the mat. Find the place that makes sense for you. And then we re-engage with the whole entire forearm. So press down into the forearm. Feel the heart lift away from the mat. And the gaze is at the front edge of the mat or maybe a few feet behind it. Bring your awareness to the place where the elbows are pressing down. Allow those elbows to press down and the wrists and the fingers. And then magnetize those elbows toward each other just a bit. The suggestion of maybe cinching the elbows in so that the collarbones broaden, expand away from each other. And we still keep this little gentle tuck in the pelvis. So the knees are active, pressing down into the tops of the feet. We might add some movement here. So bending the left knee, take the gaze slightly to the right. And return to center. Bend the left knee, the gaze is low across the floor. And back down. And we're actually crossing the midline here. So if we bend the right knee, Gently gaze to the left, toward the left shoulder, and come back down. We have one toe up in the back, and the gaze is at the opposite shoulder. You may or may not ever see that toe, and it really doesn't matter. The point of play here is to stay rooted through the elbow and the entire forearm, and keep that little tuck in the pelvis so that the tailbone keeps moving toward the heels. This movement is excellent for what I lovingly call tech neck, which does actually relate to the wrist. So tech neck can spread all over the body. When you've had enough of that, come back to center. Take a full inhale here. Lifting through the crown of the head, staying rooted through the pubic bone and the tops of the feet. And then on an exhale, widen the elbows. Roll yourself down. You might stack the hands or the fists and let the forehead rest for a moment here. Release the glutes, release the tuck in the pelvis. You might send the heels to the left and the right. And if your lower back feels a little compressed or congested, go ahead, bend the knees and let the ankles fall to the left and the right. We'll come back down onto our bellies for another movement that is counter to what we spend a lot of time doing at our desks and in our cars. Some of the same concepts, but this time the arms are reaching behind us. So we still have the feet grounded, still a little tuck in the tailbone, still starting with the forehead as low to the mat as you can. If yours doesn't go, you can certainly have a little cushion there to rest the forehead on. And now the elbows and the shoulder blades reaching toward the heels as well. On an inhale, reach the arms back toward the toes and peel the heart off the mat. Let the gaze come up just an inch or two. And if it's available to you, rotate the palms out so the palms face away from you. So there's external rotation in the arms here. After you've lifted, you'll notice that the breath is different because the belly that needs, all the organs that need to move out the way, all that's compressed against the floor. So it's natural here for your breath to be a little more shallow and maybe a little shorter. That's okay. You still allow the breath to be our teacher here. What is it teaching us right now? Inhale, roll down. On an exhale, release, let go. You can send the the heels to the left and the right if you'd like. And we'll come up like that again. Inhale, reach the fingertips back. The whole arm follows. Scapula reach toward the tailbone. Tailbone reaches toward the heel. Rotate the hands outward. Now, how close the arms are to your body is another point of play. So there will be kind of a sweet spot between having the arms wide and having the muscular effort of pulling them in close to your body. Point of play there. So that implies maybe play around a bit. See what it's like to really hug the arms close. See what it's like to release them a bit. And when you've had enough of that, find an inhale. Exhale, pull the belly in, roll back down, release the forehead, and a little TLC for the low back. If that felt like there was some compression happening here. Actually can be a healthy compression on the kidneys, but if you feel it to be more skeletal, right, and you know you have some issues with that, then go ahead and bend the knees and let the hips roll, get some release in there. And from here, we'll be coming up onto the elbows for an elbow plank. So in case you thought that having a wrist issue meant you couldn't work strength, let's find out if that's really true. Now the elbows come all the way under the shoulders instead of a little further out. Curl the toes under. Collarbones are still wide. And we are starting with the pelvic girdle down here. In an effort to see what would happen if I pressed into my forearms, feel the rib cage lift even more, press into the balls of the big toes, little squeeze of the glutes, pressing the heels away from me. So actually what I'm doing is making a really strong connection with the forearms and the feet. So the body has a chance to float up just a bit. My feet are a little bit wide. They're not right close together, which is, of course, another way to work this plank. Let the knees come down. Let the thighs come down. Bring the gaze forward. Relax. And we'll try that one more time. Curl the toes under. It's almost like the arms and the toes are on different sides of a river. And as you press down into those foundations, the bridge part rises up. And if it doesn't rise up very much or at all, we can be comforted in knowing that it's the firing of these neurons and sending that message there that is actually just as important as having the muscular strength to create a certain shape. So even when we don't look like somebody else, maybe we just come up a little bit, or maybe we just do it for a moment, the tensile nature of the muscle fibers, creating those neurological paths in our brain, all of that, super duper healthy. All right, so I think we've experimented with that plank quite enough. Let's come on down, roll everything down. Reach the arms behind you one more time. Relax. Release. Let go. Inhale, lift the forehead. We're coming up into this rotated arm with the palms facing backwards or outwards one more time. And then exhale, let it go. From here, bring your hands under the shoulders. Press yourself up and back into either child or down dog, your choice. I'll be coming all the way back into an extended child. Toes together, knees wide. Really pressing this mat away from me, looking for the same feeling of a down dog, really, in my upper body. So relaxing my forehead to the mat if I can. Pressing the floor away. We'll hold here for 2 or 3 breaths. If you're in down dog, you might walk the dog, let the dog come off the leash. Explore that feeling of coming higher off the mat if you've gone to down dog. And for those of us in child, let's go ahead and lift up and we'll all meet at the top of the mat. So whether you're in child or down dog, start to walk your feet towards your hands and bend your knees a lot. When you get there, we'll spend a moment in ragdoll. So bend the knees as much as you need. Maybe you have your blocks or your bolster that helps you find the earth. Gorilla knuckle for a moment here. Shake the head. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. I don't know. And we'll be rolling up super duper slowly without adjusting hair or clothes. This is one of my favorite little mindful practices. You can use your own shins if you want. Stay tucked in the tailbone, tucked in the chin. Press down into the feet, recruiting strength in the legs. As you come up slowly, shoulders are still relaxed, chin still tucked. Inhale. Lift through the back of the head, roll the shoulders up and down away from the ears. Bring the weight of the body into the heels just a bit and rotate the palms forward. And again, without adjusting hair or clothes, just rest here for a moment. Observing some places that might feel a little disarray, and just let them be that way for a moment. Focus instead on the TLC, on the breath, on what's good, the strength of the feet, the intelligence of your sense of balance. And then we'll just relax and release and let all of that go. Step it wide. Give yourself a little windmill, Ganeshasana action. I just realized halfway up as I was talking about not adjusting anything, I fixed my hair. So we learn things. That was my mindful moment. I did it without thinking about it. The next thing that you think about might be continuing your standing practice. It could be a continued mindfulness practice of your own, or perhaps dashing off to the rest of your day. Whatever it is, I would like to close this portion of our practice together with hands at heart center, acknowledging the light in me, bowing to the light in you. Namaste. Thank you for your time. That was fun.